The No Disclaimers book tag coming up. Hey guys, welcome back to Book Your Imagination. My name is Anne. Michael SD at Catalyst Reads tagged me to do the No Disclaimers book tag. This is his first original book tag for 2018, but I'm sure it's not going to be his last. I have a link to his channel below, so definitely go check him out. He's a very interesting booktuber. And Michael, thank you for tagging me for this. Here are the questions. Question 1. Which trope or tropes annoy you the most in books? I had a really difficult time with this because I don't really have too much of an issue with tropes in books, but if I have to choose, I guess I would say the orphan child. Being an orphan is pretty much a staple in fairy tales, and it's carried over into contemporary fiction as well, such as the Harry Potter series, the Throne of Glass series, or Strange the Dreamer. But I have to ask myself, would any of these stories have worked if the protagonist had not been an orphan? And I don't think so. So I really see its place in the story, but I would have to say that the orphan child is probably the trope that annoys me the most. Question 2. Which writer or writers do you feel are overrated or overhyped? For me, this has to be Ali Condi. I read several of her books, and I have issues with the plot in almost all of them. And yet, she has a huge fan base. She's a New York Times best-selling author, and she's been nominated for awards. So, my opinion is clearly in the minority, but honestly, I just don't see it. Question 3. What is the least favorite book you've read since joining BookTube? Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. For me, the pacing of this story was just way too slow. Question 4. A terrible ending that ruined an otherwise quality book. I've said this before, but it is the ending to the third book of the Reliquary series by Sarah Fine. I absolutely loved this series. I thought it was original, I thought it was creative, but the ending of the third book was absolutely terrible, and it didn't fit with the rest of the story. So I don't know if she's going to do a fourth book in the series. She has said she doesn't see this as the end of their story, but I don't know if she's really going to do it. So for me, this is a terrible ending to an otherwise great series. Question 5. Which fictional character do you wish had not been killed off? So this is a spoiler alert for the Six of Crows duology. If you want to read this book and you haven't yet, please mute now. The character that I wish had not been killed off was Matthias in Crooked Kingdom. And the reason is because I didn't really see the value in killing him off. As a group, these characters had been through some death-defying events, and they had all lived through it. So it felt like the author decided she had to kill somebody, so she just randomly picked Matthias. His death wasn't particularly heroic. It was kind of random, and it didn't make sense to me in terms of the overall plot or the overall story. It just seemed like a random, I gotta kill someone and it's gonna be you. Question 6. What are some of your bookish pet peeves? I actually have a few pet peeves about books. Last month, Jesse the Reader did a video called Things I Hate in Books. And I watched it, I agreed with everything he said, and as I was thinking about it, I thought, you know, I have a completely separate list of things I hate in books. So I am planning to do my own video, and it will be out next week. Question 7. What are some books you feel like deserve more recognition? Funny you should ask. Tomorrow's Top 5 Wednesday is Hidden Gems in Your Favorite Genre, so definitely check that out. But I want to add one more book to that list today, and that is How to Ditch Your Fairy by Justine Lavalestier. Justine Lavalestier wrote My Sister Rosa, which was my favorite book of 2017. That is the story of 10-year-old Rosa, who is a psychopath and just becoming interested in hurting things. It is a serious psychological thriller. It's really excellent. How to Ditch Your Fairy is a completely different story. In this world, everybody has a personal fairy, such as a clothes shopping fairy, where you are going to get the best clothes at the greatest prices, like the loose change fairy or the you can get away with anything fairy. Our protagonist, Charlie, who is a girl, has the parking fairy. So she gets the best parking spaces. And this is not the fairy she wants. So she devises a plan to get rid of her fairy so she can get a better fairy. It is an absolutely hilarious story, and I think definitely deserves more recognition. Question 8. What are your thoughts on censorship and banning books? When I joined BookTube a couple of years ago, I was not even aware that this was an issue. I thought as a society we had moved forward from censorship and banning books years ago. I thought we had decided this was a bad thing. Boy, was I ever wrong. Here's a pretty chilling statistic. In 2015, 9 of the 10 most challenged books were diverse characters, characters of color, or characters with disabilities. 9 out of the 10 most challenged books that people wanted out of the library contain diverse characters, people of color or characters with disabilities. I think that is a shocking statistic. As a parent, I think you absolutely have the right to control what your child reads. You know your child, and it is your job to be involved in helping them pick the best books for them. A library, I think, absolutely has a right to move a book from the children's section to the teen section, or from the teen section to the adult section, based on their community. That is completely fine, but I am completely opposed to totally removing a book from a library because a parent or a well-meaning patron, well-meaning or not, feels like this book is offensive. Banning books is simply wrong. Question 9, who do you tag? If you would like to do this tag, consider yourself officially tagged by me. As always, this is hashtag JMO, just my opinion. If you like what you see in here, please consider subscribing to my channel, give it a thumbs up, and leave me a comment below. Thank you for watching.